Good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here on the Let's Talk to Cutler platform, the Let's Talk to Cutler broadcast, and it is October the 29th. Can you all believe it's already October the 29th? Here we are at the end of another month, and we've been together for now almost another 30 days, and it's wonderful. I've certainly enjoyed sharing this time and this space with you all. Of course, you know, here on this platform, I'm with you for only 1,800 seconds, and I have to make the best of it. I have to make it count. So again, tonight for 1,800 seconds, for the next 1,800 seconds, I'm with you in your living room, your dining room, your cars, your kitchen, wherever you will allow me to be, whatever space you will allow me to share, I'm there with you, and I don't take it for granted. So thank you so very much. I want to say to anyone who's visiting us tonight for the very first time, yeah, I forgot to say the last time we were chit chatting, but I forgot to say if this is your very first time, let me just say thank you. I'm with you for only 1,800 seconds. I try to make the 1,800 seconds matter. I try to make every second significant, every minute matter. So I don't want to waste your time. But if this is your first time, go ahead and just click on the subscribe button below, right down there. Click on the button, and then just click on the bell to make sure that you are notified whenever I'm online, whenever I just show up, getting ready to do hold some conversations and just chit chat with you all. But again, it's so good to see you all. If you haven't done so already, go ahead and do a like, a thumbs up on the conversation. Lets YouTube know that you like the content. Lets me know that you are encouraged by what I have to offer. And again, I want to go ahead and acknowledge our LTTC VIPs for tonight. It's Sandra, Roselia, Annie, and of course, I got to give a shout out coming right on in fourth place, my cousin Lady down there in Atlanta. So it's good to see all of you all. Of course, as you know, I am chit chatting every Tuesday and Thursday right here at 8 o'clock. You all, we've been doing this ever since March. We were on another platform, but now we're here on this platform and we're sharing this space. So thank you. It is an honor for me to be able to share this space, this time with you, because for whatever it does for you, it does the same thing for me. So thank you so much, all of you, for just joining in, tuning in, and watching. And again, the LTTC VIPs for tonight are Sandra, Roselia, and Annie. But a special shout out, of course, coming right on into the chat next. I want to give a shout out again to my cousin Lady and my cousin Nisi. It's good to see you all. All right, Nisi, it's good to see you too. All right, listen, so here's what we're going to do. You all know that we're chit chatting from this book. It's Billboards to Better, 366 daily sources of motivation and inspiration along the highway of life. If people don't have it, if you don't have it, jump on over to Amazon.com, go and get it, or go to gbcutler.com, and that's my website. It'll take you right to the link where you can order it. But I want to thank you. Thank you so much for joining me. And again, as new members are coming in, take a moment and say hi to them. We had someone who was on the other night. It was that individual's first time, and I just saw the initials, but I was so thankful to see that person who said, hey, this is my first time with you. I was thankful for that. So you all take a look at the chats too, sort of follow the chats because we're all chit-chatting together. I'm going to go ahead because I don't have long. How many seconds do I have with you all? That's right, 1,800. So I have to make them all count. Today is Wednesday, it's Thursday rather than 29th. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at our source of motivation for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. When you get to Saturday, it's all day your way. And then you can use that as a conversation starter. You can use it as a part of your meditation, whatever you do. Just, I hope you're reading it. All right, I'm going to go to October the 28th. Let's go to October 28th. And it says, God has always known you, even before you knew what it meant to be known. God has always known you, even before you knew what it meant to be known. That really was written to remind you that you are not a stranger to God. Rest assured that He knows exactly who you are. And you all, I wrote this because I am keenly aware that there are sometimes we struggle with our significance, wondering if we are significant, if we are important in the grand scheme of things. And so this is about knowing your significance. This is about knowing your importance. It is about knowing your self-worth and your self-value, all right? Because sometimes one thing, there are some things in life that will serve as what I call a trigger. And in life, those moments, there are things that trigger us, and we don't sense the importance of that moment We don't sense the urgency of that moment until we've dealt with a trigger. In the law, we call these things condition precedent. It means that before this event is really in place, some other trigger, some other condition must have occurred. For example, if it rains, we will have a contract for me to dig a ditch so that the water can drain from your yard. It's just that kind of thing. It's what we call a condition precedent. In life, we just call them triggers. And the interesting thing about triggers is that a lot of times we don't feel that we are important until someone else has said that we are important. We don't feel that we have worth or value until someone else has said that we have worth and that we have value. But I want to remind you all that you are significant in the grand scheme of things. God has always known about you, again, even before you knew what it meant to be known. Because we forget that people don't have the opportunity to validate us. Sometimes we give so much power to other people. We don't feel valid until someone else has said that we are valid. We don't feel empowered until someone else says that we are empowered or that we have worth. But what I want you all to know is that sometimes in life, we just fail to see our own significance. We fail to see our importance until someone else says it. Unless someone else, and I want to share this with you all again, because you all know we only have 1,800 seconds. I have to make it count. So here's what I want you to know. The takeaway from this quote, from this source of motivation is unless someone else they're a part of the process in your life, unless they could stamp a seal of approval upon the process that you're going through, they don't have the wherewithal to say that you are valid or not. They just don't. You are significant. I want to remind you that you are important. You are important. You are valuable. You are significant. Whether any other human being on earth ever opens his or her mouth to say anything about you, you really are. And I want that to be your takeaway this evening. So here we go. Stop waiting for people to validate you. Let me tell you about validation, because in most instances, validation takes place after you've already passed the test. Let me say that again. Validation takes place after you've already passed the test, after you've already gone through the process. And validation is just the outside proof of an inside process. I know it sounds very philosophical to say that validation is just the outside proof of an inside process. Let me remind you of this. If you have a valid driver's license, think about this. Before they ever snapped your picture and told you to sit there and smile and look handsome or look pretty, before they ever told you that, they told you that you passed the test. You would not have sat in the seat to take a picture until you first passed the test. And before anybody else outside knew that you had passed the test, you knew it. And that was a moment for you to celebrate. You didn't need those people outside to tell you that you had passed the test. Only one person had to tell you, and that was your examiner. Only one person told you that. And it is the same way in life. So you knew the process. You knew what you had gone through. You knew the journey that you had made preparing to study, to take, and to pass the test, ever before you sat down in the seat to smile and take your picture. So the taking the picture and to give you this tangible thing, that was just stamping a seal on the process that you had already gone through. You're valid. You're already valid, because when you have come through the process, when you have achieved, when you have succeeded, when you have attained and obtained and overcome, you are already valid. You're already valid. So what I'm saying is this: when you know within yourself who you are, when you know the gifts and the talents and the skills that you possess, when you know who you're connected to, and when you know that you have the DNA of the Creator inside of you, when you know all of this, and you know whose shoulders you stand on, you know that you stand on the shoulders of your ancestors, when you know that you stand on the shoulders of those who laid the foundation before, when you know all of that, when you've been through the process, when you've appreciated the journey, when you've come through all of that, you are already valid. When you recognize that you have been in a place on this earth where purpose and destiny are assigned to you, you're already valid. And you don't need anybody else's validation. You really, really don't. And I'm telling you that I wrote that a lot of these things, you all, I wrote from a personal perspective because we struggle and we wrestle with being validated by other people. And we give them the power and the right and the authority to think that they can validate us. You know what I said to people? I have to go back and apologize to them and say this to them. I am so sorry. I'm so sorry if I made you think that you were powerful enough to validate or invalidate my life. And think about that. You take the power back and you say, you know what? I only need God to validate me. And the author said in this book that God knew about me long before I knew what it meant to even know what being known about was. You're already valid. You're already significant. If nobody else opens their mouth to say anything to you, you're already valid. It does not matter, because the moment when you realize who you are in the process and the journey, when you realize all of that, when you know what you've accomplished, when you know what you have achieved, when you know what you've done, when you know who you are, all of that says, I'm valid. I'm valid, and no one gets to take that moment from you. I bet you when you sat in that seat to smile and say cheese for that driver's license, you said, this is the moment nobody else can take from me because I've worked for this, especially if you ever failed the driver's exam and you had to take it 2 or 3 times. But when you finally sat in that seat and smiled and you said, I worked for this thing, nobody can take that from you. So live in that moment. Stop looking for people's validation. I'm telling you, that's really all I'm trying to say tonight. There is no condition that needs to exist, that needs to occur in order for you to feel valid or in order for you to be valid. Not at all. You go through the process. You say, I went through it. I survived it. I made it on the other side. I'm no longer going to let people think that they have the power to validate me. Absolutely not. Because most of the time, you're not really, hang on to this. Most of the times, you're really not looking for that validation anyway. You think you are, but until tonight, October 29th, you think you've been looking for people's validation. But what you're really looking for is their endorsement. You're not looking for validation. You're looking for endorsement, and you've given people the power to think that they can validate you. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because you have to understand this. Validation came during the process. But the endorsement did not come until after the process. Endorsement is just a public declaration of what you've achieved. It's just a public recognition of who you are and what you have. That's all the endorsement is. That's all the endorsement is. No, you don't get to determine whether or not I'm valid. So I'm not looking for your validation. I would like your endorsement. And guess what? I'm valid even if you don't give me your endorsement. I told y'all, I'm trying to make these moments matter. I'm trying to make these seconds count. And how do I know that? Listen, have you ever forgot your driver's license? And you were driving and you forgot your driver's license. I want you to know this. You were probably comfortable thinking that, all right, if I get stopped, at least I can tell the officer to look up my driver's license number, or they will look up my driver's license number and find that I really am valid. So when I sent out the call for tonight's conversation, I said to you, you're valid even if you leave your driver's license home. Now, I'm not telling you all to leave your driver's license home, but you are still a valid driver. You're wrong for leaving your license home, but you're still a valid driver. Does that not make sense? So having your driver's license with you is one thing, but you're still a valid driver. You're still valid, even if you don't have it with you. All right? So stop making people think that you're looking for validation when the only thing you're looking for is endorsement. And if they don't give you the endorsement, somebody else will. And if that person won't, somebody else will. So stop looking for people to decide for you whether or not you're valid, whether or not you have worth, whether or not you have a right to belong. Stop it. Stop it. Don't let people do that to you, and don't you do it to anybody else. I'm telling you, because with all of these lessons that we're going through these days, with what society is presenting, with all the stress and the turmoil and the texture and the tone of what is happening in life, what's happening in society, you're going through a whole lot. And if we make it, or as we are making it through this, nobody gets to tell you that you're not valid. Nobody gets to tell you that you don't have any self-worth. Nobody gets to tell you that you don't have value. Nobody on this earth. Absolutely not. Because guess what? We are going through too many tests, too many trials, too many situations, too many circumstances for people to think that they have the power to validate. No, you don't get the power. You don't have the power to invalidate me. Absolutely not. You don't. Don't let people do that, you all. And you tell them, even if you keep your little endorsement, that has no bearing upon me and my validity. It absolutely, y'all, I only got 1,800 seconds, and I think I've just, as we say in the country, I probably beat a dead horse, but I want you all to get that. Don't let anybody think, and this is from my heart to yours, don't let anybody think that they have the power to validate who you are. And let them know, if they have the nerve to assert themselves as such, you say to them, I'm not looking for your validation. The only thing I hope to get was your endorsement. And if you don't give me that, I'm still okay. Guess why? Because God knows exactly who I am. And long before I even got here, he knew who I was. He knows who I am, and he knows who I shall be. Take joy in that. Take pride in that, you all. Listen, because you're valid. You're not a stranger to God. He knows exactly who you are, and he knows your significance, and he would not have brought you to this earth if there was no significance in your life. I keep saying that over and over and over because I speak from that space. I remember being in a place where I did not recognize my own significance. I didn't say my own importance or my own self-aggrandizement. No, absolutely not. But I am somebody in the sight of God if I'm nobody in your sight. And that's a whole world where I can live, where I can be, where I can show up. And I'm comfortable with that. All right, let's go. You all listen, I got 1,800 seconds and I've used up so many of them, but let me go into this next one, October 29th, okay? Do a click or a thumbs up of this conversation if you all are liking it. And I know some of you, you're watching on the side and you're not in the chat room, and that's okay. I'm so thankful to have you all here. I really, really am. Here on this platform, my goal is to make sure that we feel inspired as we leave the conversation, and that we're motivated to become better, and we're inspired to be better. Because guess what? We're riding down this highway of life together, and we're reading the signs, we're reading the billboards. And one billboard just reminded us that people don't have the power to validate me. They don't have the power to validate you. You're just trying to endorse me. And if you don't do that, I'm okay with that because I'm still valid. All right, October the 29th. Let me go into that one. And it says this: Christ has the right to condemn us. He has the right to condemn us, but instead he prays. We have the need to pray, but instead we condemn. Oh, you all, that's a mouthful. Christ has the right. He has the right, the wherewithal, the authority to condemn us, but he doesn't. He prays, he intercedes for us. And we have a need to pray, but instead we condemn. Why do we find it in human nature so we are so inclined to condemn? And this evening, you all know what? I think I'm really looking at the self-assertions that people can make in our lives. And conversely, I'm challenging us not to assert ourselves improperly into the lives of other people. Let's not do that. When people give you inroads into their lives, you all, it is a gift. When they say, come and live inside my life with me, be a part of my life, that is a gift. And I've said in a previous conversation that with every gift, there also comes a responsibility. And when you get the gift of being able to maneuver and meander inside somebody's life, you also have the responsibility to handle it properly. You absolutely do have a responsibility. And you don't get to tear them down. You have the responsibility for, as long as you are part of their lives, you have the responsibility to build them up with every opportunity that you get. Do you think people invite you into their lives to tear them down? Absolutely not. They invite you into their lives so that you can build them up. And may I remind us tonight that condemnation speaks to the judgment against somebody's future. Why would we speak condemnation over the lives of people who invited us to be a part of their lives? Why would we do that? We don't get to do that. And my friends, don't let people do that to you either. Absolutely not. Don't let them do that. We don't have the foresight to even know what anybody's future is going to look like. So how can we speak condemnation over their future when we don't know what their future is going to look like? How can we do that? Because I'm telling you this, I might be as jacked up and as messed up as I want to be, as I can be. But where I am today, who I am today, what I am today might be an indicator, but it is not the final analysis of what my tomorrow is going to look like. Absolutely not. And thank God the same is true for a whole lot of you. What we look like today, what we looked like yesterday, we may have been messed up, jacked up, tore down, discombobulated, discontent, all of that kind of stuff, dysfunctional. But who we are today and what we look like tomorrow is not the final analysis of what we look like yesterday, rather. It's not the final analysis of what our tomorrow will look like. It is not. So then, nobody gets to condemn us, and we don't get to condemn anybody else. Because guess what? When you understand someone's journey and their story, you're less likely condemn. You're less likely to condemn. When you understand their story, when you understand their journey, you're less likely to condemn. You're more likely to intercede. You're more likely to be empathetic. You're more likely to listen without judgment. You're more likely to love them and to pray for them. Don't you? Let me just give you this biblical example for just a moment. Don't you think that Jesus knew that Thomas was going to doubt him and that Peter was going to deny him? Don't you think he knew that? But still he said to them, I pray for you. I pray for you, knowing that you are going to deny me, knowing that you are going to doubt me. But he prayed for them. And guess what? I'm still me. I am still messing up today. I'm still messing up today. But my faith says, even today, he has not condemned my future. He yet intercedes for me. Listen, you all. Listen, there's a difference between giving constructive criticism and giving guidance and giving counsel versus condemning. People do let you into their lives because they're giving you the inroads to help police their lives and to help manage their lives. And so I don't mind you helping manage my life. I don't mind you helping to guide my life. I don't mind any of that. I don't mind you giving me an occasional ticket or a fine because there's something that I didn't get right in my present. But you don't get to impose a penalty against my future. You don't. You just don't. And I will be transparent. I will be very transparent, as I hope I have been, when it comes to me extending the welcome mat. For me, when I extend the welcome mat, what I'm saying is, well, W-E-L-L, well, come. Anything that's not well, I don't want it to come into my life. Anything that is toxic, you all know my routine. Anything that is toxic, I don't want it to come into my life. Anything that is pollutant, I don't want it to come into my life. Anything that is a contaminant, I don't want it to come into my life. But I want all that is well, all that is wholesome, all that is pure. I want that. I'm receiving that inside my life. But all the other junk that is not well, all the other junk, it can stay out. And I'm telling you, if that's all that you can bring, not you all, but if that's all anybody can bring, they can stay out too. They really can. All right. So then, welcome. That's right. Wellcom. So then, all right, let's go into our conversation topic for tomorrow. Let's go to our conversation topic for tomorrow. Again, if you like and if you enjoyed this conversation, go ahead and do a thumbs up on this. And I want to share this part with you. October 30th. God never created anything or anybody that is powerful enough to cause him not to love us. He just doesn't. He never created anything or anybody that is powerful enough to cause him not to love us. So I will say this: nothing and no one has ever been, nor will ever be, powerful enough to prevent God from loving you. Nothing and no one will ever be powerful enough to prevent God from loving you. All right. So then let's talk about what that means, and because what it looks like tonight, you all, what it looks like tonight is that um, this is about building us up in a space that's called self-assessment, that is called self-value, and that is called self-worth. And one of the most powerful moments of my life was when I realized that God loves me. He doesn't tolerate me. He doesn't just put up with me. He doesn't just show up to flex his power, but he loves me. I had the opportunity, the honor to speak at my dad's funeral some time ago. And I talked about the fact that my father was very likable, that a lot of people liked him. I very tongue in cheek, I mentioned that many people may not have wanted God to love him, but God did love him. And it is the same with us. Nobody gets to tell God not to love you. And there may be people who don't necessarily love you, but that doesn't stop God from loving you. I dare say there will be people who will watch, our broadcast and this conversation. And they may not like me, they may not like what I have to say, but they don't get a chance to stop God from loving me. I have a friend who mentors me in terms of this whole platform of YouTube and what this YouTube platform looks like. And she reminds me that there are going to be people who will join the platform and who will sometimes stalk you, who will sometimes stay on the outside and look inside, and who will have something negative to say about everything that you do. But guess what, you all? That doesn't stop God from loving any of us. Other people's opinion about you doesn't stop God from loving you. And people may make assessments about your life, judgments about your life. They may throw mud into your life. For whatever reasons, let them do it. Because that does not stop God from loving you. It absolutely does not stop God from loving you. There is nothing, there is absolutely nothing any more powerful than realizing that you live in the love of the person, the one who created the whole world, the whole universe, the whole space. My mentor is here, and it's so good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for joining. And I'm saying this to you all. When you can live in a space where you realize that you are loved, that is the most powerful space in the world. You're not tolerated, you're loved. Nobody can interfere with the love that God has for you. I'm just trying to inspire you and encourage you tonight. There is nothing that you can do, no place where you can go, nothing that you can say that is powerful enough to interfere with the love that God has for you. Absolutely not. We often say, what shall separate me from the love of God? And we tend to think, I'm going to love him with my whole heart. But you know what? The converse is true. Nothing will stop him from loving you. You all, God's love is immeasurable. It cannot be measured. It allows him to love us when we are unlovable. I've been with you for 1800 seconds, but let me close out by sharing this. God's love allows him to love us when we don't even love ourselves. It allows him to love us when others don't. It allows him to pick us up when he really could let us drown. It allows him to extend mercy when by every right he could administer justice. It allows him to speak blessings over our lives when by every right he could speak a curse over our lives. It allows him to lift us when he really could let us drown. So for everybody who is beating themselves up because of where you are in life, I don't know who's going to watch this. I don't know who's going to see this exchange. I don't know where they may be. I don't know, if people incarcerated get a chance to see this, but I want to speak even to that community. Wherever you are not in a place, you are not in a space that would interfere with God's ability to love you. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Let us be among those who remind each other that God has the ability to love us wherever we are, whoever we are, and however we are. Is he always pleased with us? He may not be pleased with me, but what I do know is this: he loves me. Because I don't dot every I, I don't cross every T, but I still live in LOVE. And there's nothing anybody can do that, and so do you. So I want to close by doing this, all right? I've got to go, but I want to close, but it is a blessing, absolutely. I want to close by sharing this poem with you. And again, this poem is Who We Once Were. This poem is I Am Loved, and it's from my book, Who We Once Were. So I want to close by sharing this with you. And again, I know I'm a little over my 1800 seconds, but I just felt compelled to go that extra mile with you. I want to read this. I am loved. When there are lemons in your life and blahs in your days, when there are oceans in your path and mountains in your ways, don't stop to ponder, no, don't miss a beat. Simply tell yourself, I am larger than this, for I am loved. I am loved matchlessly, unconditionally, invisibly you see, yes, I am loved. When in your mind there is confusion and in your heart there is pain, when there are no stars in your night, but your days are filled with rain, don't weep and wonder, don't ever skip a tune. Simply tell yourself, I am better than this because I am loved. I am loved perpetually, undeservingly, like no other. I tell you, I am loved. When anxiety overwhelms you and uncertainty overtakes you, when insecurity befriends you and all your fears come to shake you, do not look only without, for you must look within and simply tell yourself, I am greater than this because I am loved. I am loved without a limit beyond measure or degree. I am greater than my circumstances, for I know assuredly that God loves me. You all, we have been here together for a little over 1800 seconds. I hope you're inspired. I hope you're motivated. Hey, I'm here every Tuesday, every Thursday at 8 o'clock. And you know what we do. We're building community. We're maintaining connectivity. So you all keep your heads up, keep your hearts up, and keep your hope up. Stay safe, stay sane. Look for me on this platform next Tuesday at this time. Until then, do a thumbs up, like, and share this with somebody else. You all have a great evening. And until the next time you see my face, know this: I love you.